Central Minnesota Sports Hub. It's the Morning Sports Desk, presented by Wadena's Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade. Available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, and streaming on YouTube.
It is the Morning Sports Desk on a Thursday, the 23rd of January. I'm CJ Baumgartner. Kyle Gylsen making his return to the Morning Sports Desk. First time in almost a year, Kyle. Welcome back.
I was going to say, I thought it was my debut. I don't remember the last time I was on.
I think we had you in once, like right before you were about to come back to the radio station. I think we included you once. But you know what? For all intents and purposes, let's make it your debut.
Okay.
All right. Coming in strong. It's like, like in baseball, a rookie can make his debut for like 2 games, and then the next year he comes back up and he's a rookie. So
sure,
that's what we'll call it.
Okay. Or comeback player of the year.
When's the last time you've been called a rookie, Kyle?
Well, probably 3 years ago, I suppose, when I started at the school, or 4 years ago when I started at the school. That was kind of a new thing for me. So
yeah, that makes sense. Okay, that makes sense there. You're not a rookie in calling games. You've done a lot of them, and there's a great match tonight. This has got a rank of some of the better regular season wrestling matches you've ever had an opportunity to call. I mean, a triangular in Staples-Motley tonight as the Cardinals are hosting Becker and Frazee. 4:45 pregame, 5 o'clock match start on KNSP The Fan, 98.5 FM and AM 1430. This should be a fun one.
Yeah, it should be outstanding. I was thinking about it too. A couple of weeks ago, we carried the quad, or quadrangular, as you like to say, in Monaga. And there we saw 2 teams that were ranked in the top 10 in Class A, another team that had made it to the section semifinals in the team tournament last year, and then some outstanding individuals on all 4 teams that were involved there. This might actually even be better. I mean, it's hard to believe because Staples-Motley is ranked 2nd in the state in Class A right now. Frazee is in the top 20 in Class A, and then the Becker Bulldogs are ranked 7th in AA. And so 3 very good wrestling teams going at it head-to-head tonight in Staples. My first time at the Nest.
Yeah, the Nest is, first of all, I've been there, not for a game, but I've just kind of snuck in a time or two. Beautiful, beautiful venue there. And they showed us, Josh Lee, the activities director at Staples-Motley, showed Corey and I the new wrestling room. It's huge. So you'll have to see if you can get in early enough, and maybe you'll get a tour in there. Sure. That you and Dan have to check that out. It's really great in there. It's meant to kind of, basically it's built for wrestling. It's a really fun room, and they kind of have set up the facilities there, obviously, because of the program history there. And I'm not quite sure. Maybe there was a tournament. Maybe there's something I'm missing. But this has to be one of the first wrestling events held at the Nest too, which is going to be really cool to see that place meant for that. It's one-sided gym, which means everybody's going to be packed in those bleachers, ready to go. You have the big video board on the far side of the gym. That'll be fun. It's a great place to watch some wrestling tonight. You got to see Staples-Motley last year make their run as a team to the state championship game where they lost to Chatfield. But I mean, obviously returning most, if not pretty much everybody back from that team a year ago. What about them as a team just makes them so dang tough?
Well, I think, success is catching. I mean, once you have some success in your program, a lot of other kids want to emulate those other wrestlers that they're seeing at the state tournament. So they'll put in the extra work in that wrestling room, not only during the school year, but during the summer and the off seasons as well. So you build a program and it just builds upon itself as time goes on. Staples-Motley, there's 13 weight classes in high school wrestling now. Staples-Motley has a wrestler ranked in the top 10 in 6 of those weight classes. Jeez. And Becker has 4 kids that are ranked in the top 10 in their respective weight classes. So with some really good head-to-head. Frazee, I didn't see anybody ranked in the Guillotine rankings that came out 2 weeks ago. The new ones are supposed to come out sometime today, but I haven't seen them yet. But Staples-Motley's got a great history with their wrestling program as well.
Yeah, exactly. And Staples-Motley having a really good season, of course, as we're spent a lot of time here talking about. And especially when you think about, that program, historically good wrestling programs with Staples-Motley. Of course, Frazee's had some good runs over the last few years, and then Becker being Becker. It's just really fun. And for Staples-Motley too, kind of the, like you talking about, success breeding success. I believe it's year 3, maybe year 4. I can't remember, of Jim Jackson kind of taking the helm at Staples-Motley, coming up from Apple Valley, taking this job, and just how successful the program has been, and all the coaches they have on staff and everything they've been able to do to develop that. It's really cool to see. And it's obviously, wrestling in this area has been good, whether you talk about Frazee or Bertha Hewitt, Verndale, Parker's Prairie, United North Central. There's some other teams in there that obviously have had some success as well in the mix. I mean, it's just wrestling is in a really good spot right now in central Minnesota. It's got to be fun to see.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of fun, and looking forward to tonight's matches. Starting at 5, Becker takes on Frazee in the first duel, and then Staples-Motley goes up against Becker, and then the Cardinals will wrestle Frazee in the third and final duel of the night. And on paper, there's 2 matches that I'm really looking forward to. And of course, you never know how things are going to work out with kids moving up and down weights, or if everybody's healthy this time of year, all the colds and everything else that's been going around through all of our schools in the area. But 2 matches that I'm really looking forward to, if everything works out, at 121 pounds in that duel between Becker and Staples-Motley. At 121, Gage Bierga is ranked number 1 in his weight class in Class A. Boston Kuschel of Becker is ranked 2nd at 121 pounds in Double A. So you've got 1 and 2 in their classes at that weight. And then at 133, Bennett Kuyava of Becker is ranked number 2 in Double A. And Eli Greenwald of Staples-Motley is ranked 3rd in Class A at 133. So 121 and 133. If everything plays out and coaches don't move kids up or down the weight the schedule, we should have 2 really exceptional matches in that second duel of the night between the Cardinals and the Becker Bulldogs.
Yeah, it should be really fun. And obviously, you mentioned Gage Bierga at 107 last year was the state champion. So already defending that title and having a good matchup there. Yeah, should be a lot of fun wrestling tonight. You and Dan Lawson on the call, 4:45 pregame, 5 o'clock match start on 98.5 FM and AM 1430 KNSP The Fan from the Nest. To find the full broadcast schedule, go online, WDenaRadio.com. Likely not going to be the last time we mention some Cardinal wrestling on the airwaves over the next month and a half here or so. So a lot of fun there. Kyle, I have a game on the Superstation K106 boys basketball, Wadena Deer Creek hosting Park Rapids Area. This is a fun one because when you look at it, obviously it's a rivalry game, Highway 71 rivalry, former mid-state conference rivals, but also you add the playoffs over the last couple of years. 2 years ago, Wadena Deer Creek ended the season for Park Rapids Area in the opening round in Wadena. And then last season in the 8AA semifinals at Concordia in Moorhead, Park Rapids Area got the better of Wadena Deer Creek and ended their season. So both of these teams have had some recent success over the last couple of years. Wadena Deer Creek and Park Rapids Area kind of reshuffling the rosters, taking a step back record-wise, but both teams, I'm sure, have no lack of motivation to go at it and have a good game tonight. It should be a good one. Both teams are 5-7 coming into this matchup, and you say, oh, that seems pretty evenly matched. Well, according to the QRF, yeah, they are pretty evenly matched. Right now, Park Rapids Area has the 8th spot in Section 8AA with the 49.5 QRF. Wadena Deer Creek, 36.9. So if you're Wadena Deer Creek, obviously season's not over yet. You still have a month and change left to go before playoffs, but you want to catch up to a Park Rapids Area. Getting a head-to-head win would go a long way in that, and getting your second Section 8AA win in the process. If you're Park Rapids Area, Thief River Falls is just a couple QRF points ahead of you, and if you want to make that jump, obviously getting a section win is going to help your cause there. So should be a good one tonight between these two teams and the back and forth rivalry. Obviously, Kyle, with your spot at the Wadena Deer Creek School, and of course the history in Wadena there, just talk about that rivalry between Park Rapids Area and Wadena Deer Creek over the years.
Well, you mentioned it, the longtime Park Region or Park Mid-State Conference rivals, and there's a pride that goes along with it in terms of, hockey plays for that Highway 71 Cup, and there's been some battles in girls basketball, boys basketball, all sports. There's always been a connection. Might not be the biggest rivalry for each school, but anytime the Panthers and the Wolverines get together, it usually is fun, and it's kind of fun now with, even though teams record-wise might not be exactly where they would love to be at this point in the season, they sound like they're fairly evenly matched. I haven't seen the Panthers play. I have seen the Wolverines a number of times, and they're bringing back just one starter from last year, one kid that contributed significantly in scoring last year. So some new faces kind of coming into that program and getting a chance to play at the varsity level, and they're starting to gel a little bit. You see these flashes where it's like, okay, they're getting it now. And like you said, to try to build now here in the second half of the season and get to be playing your best basketball come tournament time.
Yeah, for Wadena Deer Creek, it'll be interesting because Kobe Snyder obviously is their top scorer, 20-plus points every night, it feels like. Finding that secondary scorer has been kind of that thing for Wadena Deer Creek, who's going to be that next guy or next group of guys that can kind of add some consistent points in and night out and kind of help that number get up to where it is. Talking with Coach Thunberg throughout the season, he said, defense is kind of what they're preaching on. Obviously, when you have a younger team, it's easier to kind of coach up that defense a little bit at times. And, he's talking about they're making strides there, kind of getting to where they want it to be. And if they can make that step on offense, it certainly will help things out the rest of the way. Like you talked about, Kyle, haven't had a ton of experience watching Park Rapids area this season. But, of course, they got some athletes. They move up and down the floor. And it should be a good one tonight from the Wadena Deer Creek Middle High School gym. That's a 7:15 pregame, 7:30 tip-off on the Superstation, K106, 105.9 FM. Also streaming online, WDenaRadio.com, or the Superstation K106 mobile app. Again, you can find the full broadcast schedule online at WDenaRadio.com. Kyle, we are going to talk quick a Twins rumor to wrap up the show here because there has been something that I saw yesterday that kept me up till late at night thinking about it. I want to tell you about it in just a second. But first, we got to talk about the good folks at the Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena. They are the proud sponsors of the Morning Sports Desk. And if you go to the FunZone Arcade, look at some of this stuff. You could win autographed mystery jerseys at Wadena's FunZone Arcade at the Pizza Ranch. An Austin Eckler jersey. I am so behind in NBA. I have no idea who that guy is, but I'm sure that those kids do, and they're super excited about it. But, I mean, it's just cool to get to win prizes like that at the FunZone Arcade at a place right here in Wadena where you can have a bunch of fun and, of course, eat a bunch of good pizza doing it as well. And if you don't want pizza, well, they got chicken, they got mashed potatoes, they have just whatever tickles your fancy for eating. It's a great place to eat, a great place to play. Of course, Zeke and I talked yesterday about the app and the great things that they have on there. You can order, you can just look at the menu, you can check on your rewards points and get pizza. The more pizza you eat, the closer you get to free pizza, which is always a good math problem for me. Obviously, we're both BSU guys, Kyle. I'm a mass comm major. I didn't go there to do math.
Exactly.
Pizza plus pizza equaling more pizza is definitely something that I can get behind. So the Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena, they are proud sponsors of the Morning Sports Desk. Go check out the FunZone Arcade. They have plenty more prizes like that. They had a Justin Jefferson autographed mini helmet earlier, which was awesome. It was gold. It looked really cool. And then, of course, those jersey giveaways and just playing the games are reward enough. And then you get those cool prizes as well. It definitely helps out. Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena, proud sponsors of the Morning Sports Desk with CJ and Corey.
I don't know if you heard it or not, but my stomach was growling as we were talking about that. And since I'm not going to be able to get home this afternoon to get something to eat before I have to run to Staples for wrestling tonight, I might just have to swing through the Pizza Ranch.
You might have to. I mean, we keep doing this show right before lunchtime, and that's just the worst thing in the world because I get hungry. But I suppose I could just go to Pizza Ranch, and then I don't have to worry about it anymore. So I guess that works out there. Okay, so there's a Twins rumor yesterday from Dan Hayes of The Athletic, and I want to pull up this tweet and just let you know what he was saying, because this is something that has gotten Twins fans at least engaged. The first real nugget of actual off-season moves. And it comes from Dan Hayes of The Athletic, pulling this tweet up here. And what it says is that the Twins and Padres have discussed a deal for Christian Vasquez, the Twins catcher. Additionally, the Twins have indicated their interest in starting pitcher and former Chicago White Sox Dylan Cease. This would be huge for a couple of reasons, Kyle, mainly because the Twins are looking to get rid of that $10 million contract that Vasquez is due. This will be the final year of a 3-year deal, and it's been, largely disappointing, but he has had some good moments here and there. The Padres are in desperate need of a catcher, and they also have to shed some payroll. And why not try and get Dylan Cease, who's owed $13 million this year and is obviously a starting pitcher who got some Cy Young votes last year, most famously almost no-hit the Twins in 2022 before Luis Ariz broke it up in the 9th inning. That guy's a stud pitcher. Dylan Cease is. Vasquez kind of, if you want to clear some room in the catching room, clear a little salary that way, although the Twins probably going to have to eat a little bit of that salary if they want to get the services of Dylan Cease. Twins aren't the only one checking in, but they're just kind of the latest one to do so. Obviously, both Twins fans on here. As we've learned throughout the history of this organization, you can never have enough good starting pitching.
No, obviously, and every team is always looking for starting pitching. So if the Twins could make this deal, I think it's a good one for them, and it should excite the fan base at least a little bit. They've made a couple of moves here in the winter, but guys that I haven't heard of coming into the organization. So starting pitching key, and Vasquez has been one of the guys that they've been rumored to be looking to move if they could during the winter. So opportunity comes up like this, even if you have to eat half or more of the salary, I think it's a good deal.
Yeah, and I know people talk about, the Twins are cutting salary, and the Twins are, if they were going to be at last year's salary number because of raises through arbitration and some of the other things, that the Twins actually are $10 million roughly, or $5 to $8 million over what they were a year ago. And they thought, well, are the Twins going to cut payroll just to get back to that number? The way it sounds is that they have a little more wiggle room than that. So theoretically, if they shed Vasquez, they theoretically maybe could make a Dylan Cease trade work financially. The holdup has been kind of how much money do the Twins want to give up? Like, right. How much money do the Twins want to eat, I should say? How much money do you want to pay a catcher to not play for your baseball team is kind of the math that the Twins have to figure out. And if you're the Padres, you're looking to cut salary. Their team is a mess right now with ownership. Specifically, I believe the owner died a couple of years ago, and all of his kids are kind of fighting for control of the team. So it's a mess in that aspect. So they're looking to cut payroll a little bit, and you can maybe kind of help out that way. I know there's other areas of this place of the roster the Twins can address, but if you're going to overload on one area, overloading on starting pitching definitely is an area you can do. Just like in football, you can never have too many offensive linemen. In baseball, you can never have too many starting pitchers. And that's kind of the thing with this team, to have him paired with Pablo Lopez and Joe Ryan and Bailey Ober. And then you kind of have, take your pick. The Twins have a whole bunch of different starting pitchers that can rotate in that fifth spot. But that rotation kind of would remind me of what it was a couple of years ago when it was that same group, except you add in Sonny Gray instead of Dylan Cease, and how successful the Twins were with that. So obviously some hurdles to clear through. And, it depends, again, takes two to tango. The Twins have to eat some salary. I'm sure they have to give up a prospect along with Vasquez, but the Padres need a catcher, and they need one badly. Not only just needing a major league proven catcher because they don't really have one, but also a catcher who's good defensively. Their catcher last year, by the defensive rankings, was one of the worst in baseball. So they want a guy who can work with the pitching staff, a guy who can help out. Vasquez is not a great hitter, but he was really, really good and really well respected with the pitching staff and calling a game and pitch framing and all that stuff that they talk about. So it would be tough for the Twins to lose that. And it's, again, not a sexy pick to trade a catcher or to trade for a catcher, whatever. I still think if I'm the Twins, within reason, I would make this trade and make it work. I don't know. If this were Corey, I would do all this explanation, Kyle, and then he would just look at me, kind of pause for a second, go, yeah, of course. So I'm guessing you feel the same way?
Yeah, pretty much, and Vasquez was supposed to be, or was a good hitter when we got him from Boston, signed him as a free agent, and the first year showed some decent signs, some life at the plate, but last year was really a disappointment. And I don't know if it's the fact that he's not playing every day, and is more of the backup. So you hear guys talk about that all the time. We're getting into that routine and get into that groove a little bit. So that may be part of it. So maybe he goes to San Diego and gets a chance to play, 60%, 70% of the time. Maybe that'll include or improve his offense. We'll see.
Yeah, and Cease obviously is only under contract through 2025, so you kind of understand that he's going to be a rental. But the Twins knew Sonny Gray was going to be a rental. The Twins have traded for other players, kind of knowing that they're just getting him for this year or maybe kind of a year and a half or whatever. But if you feel like your team can compete and the AL Central is wide open, despite how the Twins finished last year, they are still one of the contenders to win the division in 2025. So that wouldn't be the worst thing to make a push. Plus, if you feel like the new ownership that's coming in is going to open the wallet a little bit more, you kind of know that if you make this move now, you can maybe address some other things later on down the line. So
I know Rob Baldelli was talking yesterday as the Twins winter caravan kicked off, and he said, we played 4.5 months of good baseball last year. The last month and a half, went sideways on us in a hurry, and we thought we had the players that we could play through it and it wouldn't last more than a couple of weeks, and it turns out it almost lasted 2 months. But he's confident that they've got the players there as long as they perform up to the capabilities that we expect them to. And I know Derek Falvey either yesterday or today said that he's been told by Twins ownership, current Twins ownership, to it's business as usual, whatever that means. So does that mean make trades if you can, and if it costs us a little more than we were planning on, okay? Or is it business as usual? Hey, we got to get down to 130 million or less, and don't be looking at adding any expensive arms.
Right, exactly. So it'll be fascinating to see. Even as the report got put out yesterday, it said the talks have kind of slowed down a little bit for the Twins and the Padres. Now, who knows what that means? I don't know how close they were, how close they aren't, but it's something to think about. And the first real actual thing we can talk about, Twins always kind of wait till late January, early February, it feels like, to make any moves. They want to get it in right before spring training. So we'll see if they do that again this year. It's the morning sport.
A lot of the deals happen just before spring training, it seems like.
They get them right in. They want to let them enjoy the winter. You know what I mean? They don't want to quite have them worried about work yet. This has been the Morning Sports Desk, powered by Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade. Kyle, you've lost your rookie status, so congratulations.
Well, I appreciate the invite, CJ, and hopefully we can do it again.
All right, awesome. We'll have to get you around once wrestling playoffs get into full gear. So that for sure we'll get you lined up for. Morning Sports Desk, powered by Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena. We'll see you next time.
Powered by Wadena's Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade. Follow the Morning Sports Desk on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And watch every show on YouTube.